Sometimes the most profound journeys start in the quietest moments. Today, we're going to explore just that, how a peaceful, meditative morning can unexpectedly open up this incredible world of classical Indian dance. It's a really cool story about how personal stillness connects to this deep, shared cultural memory. So let's dive right in.
And our journey starts with this, just a simple, beautiful line. It's not about some big, dramatic event, right? It's all about those small, sensory things that can totally change your day, even your whole outlook. And this one thought, it really sets the tone for everything we're about to uncover.
I mean, think about it for a second. What if waking up wasn't that frantic scramble to shut off the alarm? What if it wasn't a struggle, but a meditation? Imagine if that first moment of your day was all about finding a little bit of peace instead of hitting snooze. Well, that's exactly the feeling we're digging into here.
All right, so let's start right where our story begins, in that quiet stillness of the early morning. We're going to explore that inner world that kind of comes to life before the sun even thinks about rising.
This is all about ditching that awful, jarring alarm and just trusting your own internal clock. The whole idea is to let go of that constant pressure, that need to be the first one up, the first one to get going. It's a real shift from constantly doing to just being. And when you do that, you can find this amazing meditative state where all those little daily frustrations just melt away.
So what is it about the dawn that's so irresistible? Well, it's not just one thing. It's broken down into these really specific, tangible moments. You've got the incredible colors of the sky changing right before your eyes. You hear the birds starting their day, their own little get-togethers. And then there's that feeling of the very first ray of sun hitting your skin. It's these small, powerful moments that really make it special.
Okay, and here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. We're moving from this very personal, internal moment of reflection, and suddenly it just blossoms into this huge, shared cultural experience. And it all happens because of a simple conversation. Just like that, the whole vibe shifts. We go from this quiet, internal monologue to a conversation with a friend about a place of peace. And that one conversation, it ends up being the bridge to a much, much bigger story.
Yeah, this is the key moment right here. A friend starts talking about his experience at the incredible temple of Puri, describing it as this place of peace. And hearing that, it's like a light bulb goes off. That personal feeling of calm from the morning suddenly connects to this huge cultural landmark, a place that isn't just about stillness, but about a vibrant, living tradition.
And believe it or not, that chat about the Puri temple leads us straight to the heart of what we're talking about today, the absolutely beautiful and divine tradition of Odishi dance.
So what exactly is Odishi? Well, at its core, it's basically storytelling through movement. The dances themselves are woven around these epic tales of deities like Krishna, Radha, and especially Lord Jagannath, who, you guessed it, is central to that very same Puri temple. But it's not just mythology, it's also deeply poetic. It pulls inspiration from all these different poets like Bhima Bowie to bring these ancient stories to life in a really powerful way.
Now, like any great art form, Odishi didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was shaped and perfected by some truly brilliant artists. So let's talk about the pioneers, the masters, who really molded this dance into the classical form that we know and love today.
And if we're talking about pioneers, you absolutely have to know the name Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra. He is widely seen as the main architect of modern Odishi. He's the one who took all these traditional elements and masterfully structured them into the classical form we see now. He basically ensured it would not only survive, but thrive.
And the power of his legacy is just incredible. You can see it in his disciples, people like Vidushi Sujata Mahapatra, and other legendary dancers like Sonal Mansingh and Madhvi Mudgal who carried the torch. But what's really amazing is how global it's become. We're talking about dancers from Italy and Russia who are masters of this form. That's how far the tradition has spread.
But that begs the question, right? Where did this incredibly graceful and refined dance actually come from? To really get Odishi today, we've got to go way back and look at its ancient roots.
And this is so fascinating. You can see the evolution right here. Odishi actually has its roots in these older martial art forms called Chhau and Paika. These were physical disciplines that soldiers used to practice for focus and agility. And over time, the great gurus refined them, transforming them into the sophisticated classical dance we see today. So there's this direct line from a warrior's practice to a divine art form. How cool is that?
Which brings us right up to today. The author talks about this feeling of real delight and pride, seeing the dialects and the whole way of life of Odishi just exploding on social media reels.
A tradition that some might have thought was fading is now being celebrated and shared with the whole world, all because of modern tech.
So when you think about this whole journey we've been on, from that quiet dawn to the temple, from ancient warriors to dancers on Instagram, it all boils down to this one simple but really profound idea: receiving and sharing. The whole thing is a cycle, isn't it? You receive inspiration from the world, and then you share what you've learned and what you've felt with everyone else.
And that leads us with a final question to chew on. In a world that's all about fast-paced, blink-and-you'll-miss-it digital content, how does something so deep, so ancient like Odishi not only survive, but actually thrive? Well, maybe the answer is right there in that cycle we just talked about. That constant loop of receiving and sharing, adapting and evolving, generation after generation.